Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No
all right,
video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world. Dude, how's it going?
That's okay. I had a dentist this morning. I don't like dentists.
I don't like dentists either.
I really don't. I don't like the whole concept of dentists. I don't like going there. I don't like the smell. I don't like the sound. I just don't like dentists.
They ask you things you can't answer.
Yeah, why talk when you got your
why
freaking hands jammed down my throat? I got a utensil on my face. What am I supposed to say to you?
Answer you. I know. It
You know
bothers
what the answer is? Get out of my mouth and I'll talk to you. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, what the hell's the matter with you people?
Yeah.
Days.
Kenny and I are trying something new today. So if you're listening, we are.
Oh, really? What are we doing?
We are. We're gonna
new.
You know what? We do so many episodes. Like we're like episode 206 or 207. I think we're gonna be 208. Something like that.
That many now?
Yeah. We got a lot of
Well,
episodes.
how many is 52 and 52? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is 4 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is, you know what? It's almost,
Yeah.
it might be like today or not this week or next week.
Yeah. We're right up against.
Wow.
Beginning.
Look at us.
I know.
4 years of yapping at each other.
I know.
Holy
and
shit,
people
man.
actually listen to us. Anyway, what
I don't know about that
think-
part. I know I listen to you, but I don't know if anybody else listens to us, but that's okay. Wow.
I don't know.
Crazy shit.
I think people follow along and they laugh at us. Maybe that's.
I think that's what it is too. I'm not convinced if anybody listening. I'll listen to those two goofballs for a little bit.
I don't know, but it's been fun, and we thought we'd try something a little bit different because we do so many episodes. That what we thought maybe we'd do is just talk a little bit about the last bunch of episodes, really like almost like a bit of a month recap, if you will,
or a 2-month recap, whatever.
Yeah. So so just our first episode was December 7th, 2017.
December 7th.
So we're a month away from our 4-year anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah,
we must have jammed in a couple extra episodes, like a special ones here and there.
We had a handful of extras, and then like the first episode is really like 2 minutes.
I don't think the first episode we did much of it. I think it was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was just us farting around. One day I'll go back and listen to it, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I think we need a musical theme though to start us off.
We do. I've been thinking about that. I asked my daughter to think about some jingles, but I don't know.
But try to make it cool. I want it like a little edgier, like Mark Maron's. Like I don't want it to be like the sort of the smartless guys. God, I love him, but it's too dorky.
Yeah.
I want something with a little bit edge.
I don't know. So we'll screw around with it and see what we can. So
that's cool.
If anyone has a bit of a soundbite they want us to use, throw it at us.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love that. We'd love that. Yeah. Anyway, so we thought we'd just kind of like recap what's been going on and some trends. I mean, we just had some like really, really great guests on, in the last month and a half. Actually, I think this year has been a very good year, to be honest.
I think we've been pretty fortunate. We've had a lot of good people on.
Yeah.
Period. Over probably the last year and a half, even.
Yeah.
Actually, since we started doing guests, they've been actually kind of fun. I think what you and I got into is, I can't remember if we just struggled this week because we had to keep moving things around, one to find somebody. And I think you and I both said once in a while, we probably should just go over, like you say now, like just talk about different people. Like I'll tell you the ones that have been resonating with more of people that I know that listen. Because I get either phone calls or texts, and it might not be right away, it could be weeks later, is because obviously, I'm 55, right? So I got a whole ton of friends, obviously, in this age group. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are going through those same things that you and I've talked about a lot over the years is, how do you you're 55 or 50, like, maybe not happy or transitioning. So the ones that have been getting a lot of play from my friends are like the ones that are the coaches or the people that have moved, like Jeff, like Alan, the ones that are just a little on the older side who have made some interesting moves and haven't fallen apart and the world hasn't shut down. If anything, the world's probably exploded.
It's not the end, right? Like it's not, because everyone in our industry thinks of that. They think, oh, I get to this and it's the end. I have to retire, or like it's a.
I think that's the problem,
like
Phil. Yeah, it's that line in the sand, and there is no line.
Yeah.
It's your line. Draw it wherever you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if you're 60 years old, don't want to retire, don't.
Well, you and I have different lines, right? Like you drew a line, said at 50, I got to make a move.
At 50, right? I needed to make a decision. 50, I needed to get out of London, not because I needed to get out of London. I needed to get out.
Yeah.
Like for me to be whatever I am, I needed to do that. I couldn't do it from there.
And my line wasn't different, right? I watched my dad struggle through, middle management in his 60s, petrified he was going to lose his job because we didn't finish the mortgage or there were bills to pay, right?
Exactly.
And I always vowed that would never happen to me, right? That I'd be out and doing my own thing. I just got out a little earlier and stressed out about mortgages a little bit earlier than that. So,
well, and plus you didn't learn too many. Like you kept doing it, right? I don't know about you. You're different.
Yeah.
You're way much younger. Like you've gone through too many positions. Like I can't. I mean, that would have freaked me out. I went from university to one.
Yeah,
that was it.
Love it.
I mean.
Love it. Like I love it. I've just learned so many things.
No, I wish I had done it your way to some degree. I mean, I don't regret the way I did it.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of cool that you had some nuts and just bounced around a little bit. I was too scared. Seriously. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's why it took me so long. That's probably why I had to wait till 50.
Yeah.
Right? Because you get to that point, you think, okay, I can't wait much longer. I mean, time starts to run out to some degree. And I think that's what I got. So we had, in the last week, for example, I've got another buddy's my age and the same thing, thinking of transitioning, moving on, and scared. Or I mean, I think he's scared. I think rightly so, because he's been the same thing that I was with London, 25, 30 years. And you get into that fear thinking, man, like what happens?
Yeah.
And my thing was nothing. You go, you find something, you don't like it. Now that you've done it once to quit, it's not hard to quit twice.
Yeah.
And so you bounce around. And I said, and quite frankly, at our age, why do you want to go work for anybody anyway?
Yeah, it's true.
Like this consulting gig and this kind of floating around thing. And he would be good. He'd be actually, if he took a coaching course, he'd be a good coach. Very level-headed, very bright, very personable. Right. But I think the Jeff ones, Jeff hasn't slowed down. I don't know what Jeff's doing. Jeff's out of control. Alan has slowed down a little bit, but even Alan's a bit out of control because he's still bouncing all over the place. But I do like this. I do like these people who are trying different things.
So
and I love the coaches.
Say too, so I've actually jumped into Rise Market. So Jeff's kind of one of his many plethora of ventures.
Right.
And I love it actually.
How cool is that though, right?
Ordered twice, it shows up at my door. And then we laughed about it, right? Because last time we laughed about how everyone goes to Rise Market. Rise Market is like it's a great place to get healthy snacks and healthy alternatives the way you would at like a Whole Foods, but at a much better costing structure.
They're competitive, right?
Structure. And so the pricing has been really great. And then the thing I laugh about is the kids love it. My girls love it. And they're all in on the snacks. So we're actually buying snacks out of Rise Market. Because
how cool is that, right?
It's, because, like you go to the grocery store and get junk, right? Like sugar junk or salted junk. And now at least we're getting keto friendly, gluten free, all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's really great. It's really great.
But think about it.
Lots of cookies and not gain weight. It's terrible.
That's okay too. That's a good thing. But think about it. You're 60 years old. You leave. Actually, I use this example with my buddy. I said, here's a guy, 60 or almost 60, leaves a big job, big company, like big. Like I'm talking like seriously. We're not talking a bullshit job. Like this is a big job.
Yeah.
And you know what? Just did it. Yeah, maybe has more means than a few others, etc. But you still have to have the guts to do it because a lot would just call it a day.
Yeah.
If anything, I don't know what the hell. He's too busy. I don't know what he's got to find some time to sleep a little bit or something. But why would you go into retail? See, that would have been our first day thinking, wow, really? You want to do retail?
So
and good on them.
I don't mean to like lay it on thick or anything like that. And I don't mean it to be disrespectful too, but even when you look at the work he's done, like, so he's left, he's doing his own thing. He's got something like 8 companies or 9 companies, probably since we talked to him, maybe it's even more. I don't know.
Who knows?
But and then the other thing is like, he has adapted to the things that evolved when he was, that weren't there, like the LinkedIn thing. Like he is posting, like Jeff is.
He's actually good though. He's good posting
LinkedIn now, right? Like he posts like crazy, and I think, and they're not. Sorry, Jeff, if you're listening, I mean. Oh,
I'll pick on him too. I'll say the same thing you're probably going to say. So I don't have.
We love you.
Whatever.
I'll just be really clear about that. We love you, but they're not dad posts, right? Like he's not being he's not being cringy or dodgy or somewhat sketchy. Like you can always tell when people are new at it and they don't kind of know what they're doing.
Well, they're saying things you're thinking. Like you're not 25, buddy. You can't use that terminology. It's not you,
right? Like, yeah, I know.
Right. And I do. I'll pick on him because why not? I think sometimes I read him and think, well, it's a little sappy. But I get it. That was good. I mean, I still read it, and I probably still clicked him a like. Oh yeah. So they're kind of dad-like, but not dad-like. Like you're not using, woke or terminology that everybody under 30 is going to think. What do you? Yeah. You're not allowed to talk that
Nobody
way.
Over 30 can actually say lit and do it properly.
No, and they're not allowed to. I think it's actually a rule somewhere.
Yeah. I think so.
But I do. I find Jeff's posts interesting. I really do. Like I do. I find Fata's posts interesting. Right. I find a lot of those guys who are. I mean, not that Fata's old, but
yeah.
He's not 25 anymore either. But I do. I find these guys are just interesting, and I think if you're younger, they're not bad reads. They're not bad things to kind of think, oh, that's interesting.
Right? I look at our episodes. There's 3 in the top 6 that we've done in the last, like, I guess 6 episodes. 3 of them are people who literally followed their passions regardless of where it went.
Who?
So Ave Maria.
Oh, I like that one.
Right, with the etched, like the landscape.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Like it's like this unlikely. It's an unlikely business, right? Like,
well, I think that's the part that intrigues me.
I draw landscapes. What do you do with them? I put them on T-shirts. I put them in frames.
You're thinking really? Like, that's a business?
I sell them for like $100 a pop, easy, right?
Wow, and that's a business.
But when you look at them and you go, $100 a pop, I'm not paying for that. And then you look at them and you go, holy shit, these should be twice that price, right? Like,
well, that's just it. Well, I got to get my laptop one still.
And she, like, so she has those. They're unlikely, and yet she has them everywhere. She's online, and then she's in Billy Bishop Airport and wants to get to airports, right? So cool.
I think it's cool. I do. I mean, I think her, and it's, I'm not discounting it that way, but like, it's a nothing. It's an idea that, if like you said, if someone told me that, I'd be thinking, well, that's a nice hobby. I don't know if I'd make it a business. I think, you gotta be cautious.
That you would tell your uncle about, and your uncle would go, oh, maybe you should stay in school. Right.
Yeah. Or you tell your mom and dad, they say, right? Oh, that's nice. Phil, that's a nice boy. You do good work. Go get a real job though, please.
Yeah. Do you want to, I have the old lemonade stand in the
car. Do you want to phone Uncle George? He still has a spot in the store for you.
Yeah. There's them. There's Stu from Beast and Buckle.
I liked him. I liked him. I just liked him.
Right?
I thought he was
Love my dog.
He's a nice guy though.
Online. Let's build a effing store, right?
Yeah. Super passionate though.
It's amazing, really. Like he's just and then the last one was the one we just had. So Amy Remark, right?
Yeah.
And like she loves biking. So what did she do? She built a bike store, like a bike apparel store for women. And I think like all 3 of those are just love what you do and then go do it.
And actually you can make a business and make some money out of it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, I always tell people the same. I know people get, oh, everybody should follow their passion. And I don't necessarily disagree. You just have to understand that most of our passions don't lead to food on the table.
Yeah.
you will find that you can follow your passion all day. That's great. I mean, you could follow your passion to be the next great guitarist, and you may be a good guitarist. You're not going to make it. You realize that, right? Like you're not going to eat.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can follow your passion. I have no issue with that. But I do like these other ones who are following and said, you know what? I think I can make a few pennies at this. And have actually shown us in 3 separate episodes that in fact they can make a few pennies at this.
Yeah.
And all 3 were pretty sound business people in the sense, right?
Yeah.
They weren't, especially Pet. Like, what's his name again? I can't remember. I lost the name.
Stu.
Stu.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't think of Stu.
Okay.
It's 3 letters. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
It's okay.
But anyway, I liked Stu because Stu talked like someone who had been in business for 20 years. Now, I don't know if maybe he's just reads voraciously. I mean, he did procurement. I think it was in the military.
Yeah.
So he did understand supply chain and things like that.
Yeah.
But, spending someone else's money on budgets, really, it's not quite the same as when it's your own.
No.
And yet he
even
talked
close.
like he was so,
Yeah.
man, I thought the guy's in retail for 30 years.
Yeah. It's
Like, I
cool.
still can't get over how well tuned in he was. Like, he was
Yeah.
really good. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Conversation.
I thought it was really cool, and I like him. I like Stu a lot. I think he's got a lot going on. And then Amy, right? Amy's just
Amy, I loved Amy.
yeah. She's
The fact that she realized you can't buy women's clothes for her sport, which I still find mind bending in Vancouver.
I
don't get it.
I mean, like, just overall, the fact that it's so hard to find, like, women all over the world are getting into sports and playing like serious sports.
Exactly. Like, seriously,
And there's this drought of like
how though?
apparel. I don't actually get that. So,
But I got very egocentric here in that this is Vancouver. I'm not looking at the mountains now because there's freaking clouds all over, but there's mountains behind those clouds. Like, we have bike trails and millions of bikers in this city, like off-road, doesn't have to be hardcore, maybe like Amy, but lots of people who would be looking, like, where are they buying their stuff then?
Very active. Yeah.
But think about it though. Like, think how weird that is. So, like, even a sport check, like someone, like, nobody big has figured out that 50% of the population are women. And even if 20% of the biking community hardcore is women, that's still a lot of women.
That's a lot of women.
That's a nice, like, how we, because you've done it. So when you do that bullshit thing, well, there's 6 billion people on the planet. And if I take 4% of 4% of 3%, I got about 1 million people. You're thinking, okay, sure. We can all do that math. That's horseshit.
Yeah.
I mean, this girl doesn't have to do that. It's the number's the number.
Yeah.
If there's 10,000 women in the Lower Mainland, we got 2.5 million people. There's 10,000 women who are avid bike riders on trails. There's no place to shop. That's a number. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's honestly, the whole thing's crazy. I'm very surprised by it.
I like that. I do. I think they're cool. And I think Ave Maria is pretty neat too, because I just don't, again, you see skylines and she just draws them out and figures, you know what? Shit, I like these. I think other people would like these.
Yeah, I mean, like,
still haven't seen the Vancouver one,
what's
but
neat
that's
about
okay.
her, like, you and I, like, we talk a lot of retail with a lot of people, but I think that one's a little bit different, right? Is like, you think of that and you think of like her vision shapes where she goes, right? So it isn't all the same. You don't have to be like, her stuff will never sell in Walmart because it makes no sense, right?
Doesn't make sense there.
Billy Bishop Airport, like, to be in every airport in the world, it makes a ton of sense. Like, it's it's just so interesting, right? Like, I
liked it.
Yeah.
I thought honestly, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I really did. I think it's just, again, it's there's nothing revolutionary about it per se, right? It's silhouetted stick skylines. We've seen lots of them, but for some reason, I remember, like, when you dropped that laptop in the table at the house that week, everybody commented on it.
Right? So cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And everybody knew what skyline it was. I mean, there's a few iconic skylines. I mean, like, you guys do have them because you have the Space Needle. Like, you've got that one thing that says Astron. Shanghai, would be easy because you know the ball. Yeah. Right. Hong Kong. I mean, especially the island. Yeah. I mean, that skyline. So I mean, I think she's done a pretty cool thing. I really do.
Yeah. I think, and then the other two out of the six were pretty HR focused, right? So we had Intuitive Performance, so we had Engine Scott on.
I like that one too, though.
Yeah, and then Kemp, right? We had on, and both of them are
Just interesting things, right?
dialed into, like, it's really hand in hand, right? Because it's you build a business, and then you go from an entrepreneur to a business, and all of a sudden you got to hire people. You got to make sure you treat them right. You're screwing with people's lives, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? So, yeah.
Do you remember? And this is again, I think again, it's the age mellowing thing. Like I remember like 15, 20 years ago, if I had talked to Andrew Scott or even Kemp, I would have said, okay, I'm a fucking HR program. Like seriously, like how's this going to make us money? Where's the money coming from? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you'd be thinking a survey, like seriously, another one?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
And yet you get to those points and you're thinking, wow, if there's one thing you've learned over 40 years in retail is that you really got to build a solid culture, and you really need to be a decent coach if you really want to kind of pop, right? Because you can get lost in a lot of weird shit otherwise.
Yeah. Well, and you are going to lose people if you don't figure out how to keep them on board, right? Like I was doing some work for a client, and I was reading National Retail Federation thinks that the holiday this year is going to be it's going to be a big holiday year. Like it's going to be plus 8%.
What's our first one in 2 years, right?
On top of last year's plus 8%.
Yeah.
Which is insane, right? And so they figure in the US they're looking for somewhere between 500,000 and 600,000 workers.
Yeah, but that's our fundamental problem, Phil. I understand what they're projecting. We can't get to containers. You can't get people.
Yeah.
How are we going to hit this number? Like I've already told Amelia and I told the family, listen, if you see shit, don't wait. I said, you're going to be disappointed. Like if you see it, buy it.
Yeah. Screw the holiday thing.
Right. And none of us traveled last year. So it's not like there's this, a mountain of money sitting there. Yeah. But I think, you know what, this is the first Christmas in, it seems like forever where we can have family over, opening presents. Like, I think it's going to be like the floodgates she's going to open. And I think we're going to go nuts on this Christmas.
You think about Ange and Scott and Kemp, like it's hard to hire people. It's hard to keep people. So like now you got to keep them happy. Otherwise.
Again, how do you do that in today's world?
Don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody coming at you. You got, a driver, warehouse driver, which is a critical job in warehousing, but it's never typically been a $25 to $30 an hour job. Right. And now people are coming in and expecting 30 and 4 weeks of holiday and full benefits. And God bless them. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, we're all into the fairness but understanding that the model hasn't been set for that. Mm-mm. Like, I mean, we pay, I think we still pay 69 cents for bananas or 79 cents. I think that's what we were paying years ago. Like, it's not going to hold. Like, you're going to be at $1.19, $1.29, and that's fine. Right.
I mean,
but
the groceries,
something's got to give.
Groceries have gone up, right? Like you
barely wait. It hasn't happened yet. I mean, because the retailers are still pushing back, and I know a lot of wholesalers, and I know they're still eating.
But your own, haven't you seen your own shopping basket go up? Like, I've seen mine go up.
I don't know, because we don't
and like starches and like
everything is taking a pop. But again, we're not. Again, we're different than others in that we're fortunate. Well, right. We have different, we're in a different place. Like we're not in the same house as a family making $70,000 a year living in Vancouver. Yeah. Our household income is a little bit more than 70.
Yeah.
So it obviously we're not making trillions here, but we're in a place where we can still.
But I get all that. But if you take that we have a bigger wallet than most people, and then you take your retailer hat off, prices have gone up. Right? Everything's gone up, right? Like
but slowly, Phil.
And what I hear from you is, I think you're right, is it hasn't even really begun. Like I think the hikes are coming. We haven't really felt the shortages yet. Like Kathy and I had a whole conversation about just like really simple things like, hey, listen, like, I'm going through and looking at all our, the girls' computers and things like
Yeah.
that, trying to figure out whether I'm up to date, because I don't know if we get chips next year.
Well, I tell you right
Like,
now, if you're not up to date, you're not up to date this Christmas. There's no chips.
Yeah.
We all know that, right?
And next year will be worse.
Next year probably worse because the whole pipeline needs to be filled. There,
so if you're looking for a car, you probably can't find one.
I told you the story of our contractor.
Yeah.
You buy a $60,000 vehicle in January, it gets delivered in July or August, and the dealership's willing to buy it back $75,000 cash. You haven't taken it off the lot, you just got it. And they're willing to pay $15,000 more, 25% more, 8 months later. That's insanity.
Yeah.
You know what? And now, if the truck came in last week, it's probably $85,000 cash. And again, I know we keep harping on it, like, and I know probably Amelia and the kids don't like hearing it anymore, but nobody understands, really gets the container issue unless you're in the industry. Like, there's not a lot of stuff that you can bring from overseas that you fit 30,000 units in. So when the container is $30,000, that's $1 a unit, right? And if you do, it's salt. And salt's already $1 a box, let's say wholesale. Now it's $2 a box with shipping. Who wants to pay $5 for a box of salt? But people aren't understanding that.
Yeah,
that's what when we're saying price increases. That's where, again, my mom is complaining there. She goes, "Oh, I heard milk and butter is going up." And I think, because I've been watching the news. I said, "Milk and butter? Why?" Well, the price increased price. I said,
it goes up every year though.
I mean, I get it, but they're talking 8 to 10%.
Yeah,
based on what? What are the cows eating? It's the same lawn. It's not, nothing changed. I mean, maybe the transportation is impacting them too, or maybe it's just part of the horse shit.
That gas and labor and all the other things that go in there, right?
I guess it's the labor more so, because the gas really, I think, as far as I can see, gas is the same price as it was last year, more or less. It's just super high. We're not in Toronto where you get blessed with cheap gas.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I filled up the car the other day, another $120, right, for a stupid car. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, when you start looking at that, wait, if milk's going up 8, that's local. What do you think stuff's going from lettuce from California is going to do?
Yeah. It's insane.
Anyway, it's interesting because it is what it is. And we'll just have to, I guess, weather the storm as best we can.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
I still think there's a lot of opportunity for people anyway. I do. Even when you sort of talk this minor doom and gloom, which is a blip in life. It's not going to be here forever. But there's some cool opportunities out there, as we could show by the few people that came on recently. Some cool shit, man.
I think it's cool. I do think I like those ones. I like the HR stuff because I think you've got to, we're past the point of you have a job, you feel lucky. Like now it's, look, you've got good people. The pressure's the other way, right?
I feel lucky. I've got good people. How do I keep them?
Yeah, how do I keep them, right? Like, how do I just make sure that they are not going other places? So, yeah.
That's why I'm curious to see where Kemp goes with his model as well. I'm curious to see what corporations.
I think
how they do that, how they embrace it.
It's really neat, right? Like the fact that you can see, because it is something that you never really realize, right? Like even with big companies, you do a survey every couple of years. You just have the 2-year-old survey to work against, right? So you're kind of talking to unhappy people who might have gotten temporarily happy. Do you know what I mean? Like it's maybe all relative, right? But like he actually has the ability to tell you what the public thinks.
Yeah.
Which is, a whole
interesting
kettle of fish, right? So
interesting, right?
Yeah.
And it's gonna be interesting to see what people actually do with it.
Yeah. I think it's cool. The podcast is we've had some pretty amazing guests on. I think we've had a chance to, we had Jeff on before that. We had a whole slew of like really great names before that too. Like we had Viren on from Ethical Bean, and we had Patrick Higgins from Propel.
And all Nick cool stories, right?
Like it's just been a run, right? Like
yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking about Will and Shoshana the other day. Probably.
I think about her, but you know why? Because I see her on LinkedIn all the time.
Yeah, that's true actually.
right? She posts quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
And I find, again, it's just it's weird, right? You go into stores now, you see brands. Oh, I know them. Don't know them from a hole in the ground. Talk to them for an hour one night, right?
Look,
But you do get these.
you and I were in store when we saw
I
Will and
know,
Shoshana stuff,
I
right?
know,
Like, and it
in
was
a couple
like,
spots.
yeah, we like I had to stop and do a bit of a deja vu and figure
Yeah.
out who it was, right? So,
Well, I took some pictures of midday, sent them back to the boys, and said, "Hey,
yeah,
what's going on here?
yeah,
Limited stock on the shelf. You got a neighbor beside. Why is this neighbor here? Get rid of this
Yeah.
person.
yeah.
Take the shelf space."
Oh, and we've had a couple of Smarty Pants on. So we've had Liza on, Liza Emlani.
Yeah, she's smart.
She's so smart. She's been in Forbes a couple of times since we talked to her.
Yeah, I see her. I mean, I get the newsletter.
Yeah.
Actually, people, if people haven't signed up for that, you should plug that one.
Yeah.
It's a good newsletter.
Yeah.
Right. If you put that in the notes, or
Yeah,
that's
I'll
a
pop
good
it in
one.
the notes as well. Yeah.
But she's always active on LinkedIn too, and she's
Yeah.
always got some cool stuff on the go and some, I don't know, some different insights. Like it just,
Yeah.
I don't know, cool stuff, right?
Yeah, she's got some pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think from here we're gonna have, we actually, so funny enough, we actually don't, we're coming off almost like a run of like pre-books. Like I think we were booked up for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And now we're starting to thin out a little bit. We have some really neat guests coming up. If our friend Rohan makes,
Well, if Ro can come on, I think Ro would be very cool, because again, it's just
he would be really cool.
he's done well for himself.
Intuiti's going to come back. They're going to come talk about some of the trends they see happening, and then we'll keep working at adding.
I got a couple others that I think
Yeah.
I'd like to have on, because just their insight on the industry. I wouldn't mind having Aaron back on too, Skeleton, to see what where CHFA is at and what's going on, right?
Yeah, heading into holiday season, and then
I'm just curious to see what sort of what the mood out there is. I mean, it's gotten better. I think we have sort of. I think we've all sort of gotten away from the worry of COVID. So I'm curious to see what that natural health industry in Canada, where they're at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Maybe an interesting one too.
You know, that's what's going on. I mean, I guess we don't know. I don't know how useful this will be, but hopefully, I mean, let us know, right? I guess we'll see in the we'll see in the episode downloads and everything.
Oh, well, sometimes it's just you and I just need to talk to. We just haven't talked in ages, because now it's making me think of some other guests that now I'm thinking, maybe, you know what, that one I wasn't too sure about. Maybe it's a good fit now.
If you I have a curious question for you. If you had one takeaway from each of the last 6 episodes, what would it be? So like if I said, so if I kind of go earliest, so we had Jeff Smith, and then Ave Maria, Scott and Ange, and then Stu, and then Kemp, and then Amy. What's your one thought on Jeff? Like if you could just say one thing about the episode.
One thing about the episode. I thought, to me, again, it could be more of an age thing. To me, that was almost a little more inspiring, just because I'm a little older than you, and probably older than some of our listeners. I love to see anybody in an older age group that right now, if they were looking for work might struggle, but can do shit on their own. Like, so for me, it was a little more inspiring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think the same thing. I think that one is when the end of the road isn't the end of the road.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be. And if anything, like, he got to the end of the road and made 8 forks and was stupid enough to decide, well, you know what, I'll try them all.
Yeah, fuck it.
I mean, honestly,
who said I have to go left or right? I'm fucking doing all 8.
I'll just do them all. You know what I'll do? I'll mow this field in lines, then diagonals, then horizontals, then I'll go corner to corner. Like, I think, okay, but I mean, I'm sure. Yeah. Right. See where, okay, you're similar that way.
Yeah. And then what about Ave?
To me, almost all the other ones are more of what we talked about sort of at the beginning. I always love when people can make their passion a legit business.
Yeah.
Not just follow your passion, that bullshit. I'm sorry, I think that's horseshit. I think that's actually bad advice to tell people, to be very frank with you. Right? You might like to play hockey. You could play all day, every day, 24 hours. You're never going to make anything. Now, if you enjoy that, I'm not going to take that away from you. But I like the fact that her and Stu and Amy were able to say, you know what? I can actually make a go of this. Yeah. I can make a living out of this and do what I love and what I'm really good at. And again, to me, more inspiring than anything. And right. And then the last two, if I look, I just find those, I enjoy those because those aren't my worlds. I was never the HR or that side of it, or the coaching, because I just didn't understand the value of it and didn't see it. And, again, over the last 4 years doing this podcast with Lori and everybody else on, whole different appreciation. So I love when I see people being able to help others do some really cool things on stuff that really 10, 15 years ago, I would have thought, yeah, okay, whatever. My 2 cents, right? What do you think of the last two? Like,
I think so with Ave, I agree with all those things, but I do think the most interesting thing to me is how retail looks different. Like that is a world, like selling in airports and selling, art or functional art is not
easy.
Look, like I've kind of done like a million jobs in my lifetime. This is not one of them, right?
No.
And I just think it's super interesting, but I do think that it is a way to help you turn her passion into something real, right? Like something commercial. So I thought that was, to me, all of the things you said are true. I think it's about how you turn a passion into a business, but I do think in her case, it's funky because her path to retail doesn't look like anybody else's. Actually, nobody else that we've talked to even looks like that, right? So I thought that was really cool.
And nothing I would have even thought of because I'm old school and it's not a linear. It's not a way to do it.
No,
it's just it is the way to do it, but that's not how you do it. You missed all the steps.
So I like that.
Love that one.
I thought Engine Scott and Kemp is about better places to work, and then how to think about things differently. And I have a real appreciation for that. Like, I guess being a little bit older and then having people look up to me, or seek our advice, right?
Don't want to tap into you.
I think both of these guys, they make us better. I really love that. I thought the Stu's thing, I thought, again, same thing. I think the passion thing is really cool. The marketer in me, I think, the part when he talks about how he describes his marketing material, he writes for the dog.
Which is cool.
Which is really cool. And I've looked at his stuff since then, and it really is cool. Like it's not.
But it's not hokey dog talk.
It's not hokey,
it's not that. It's like you're the owner thinking, this is the way the dog would think.
Yeah. So it's none of that stuff. It's not hokey, but it is written with a respect and a seriousness, from the dog's perspective, which I find really interesting. And then I think Amy's thing is like, I'm stoked for her because I think she's onto something that very, very few people are getting in our world, right? That this is that the active woman there's a market there that nobody's really even started to tap yet, right? And then
she's probably the one
I honestly hope that she gets a van. Like I hope.
Oh, I'm hoping to a van too because we're going for the ride.
Yeah.
No, seriously. You know why?
Get a van, you need help building it.
Yeah, whatever you want.
You tell me where, like, I'll help you drive a couple of legs of this. Like,
no issues.
It'd be
no issues. I've watched you and McGregor and Charlie Boardman go, man. I'm all over it, man. I'm in.
Yeah, she's probably.
You know what I think?
God, these two idiots will never leave me alone.
She says, "Think, okay, I'm gonna have to tell these two idiots when I've already left the country because I don't want them for the ride." You know what? With her though, it's probably out of everybody let's not say that. In the last year, because I think it's not just the passion, it's not just the retail, it's someone who is following a lifestyle, which may not be my lifestyle, but I'm so right now. And again, it's probably just timing in life that, like, I could see van life. I could see driving across North and South America, like in the convertible, because I would kill myself on a bike. But you know what I mean? I can see that. So when I look at her and think, man, she could just load the van that she's going to buy, because that was a great idea on Phil's part. So I think she should do it. She'll load the van and like, she's going to fucking just drive, like, man, fucking Colombia, or just, I don't know, man, just go and drive, and she'll park and people are going to want to buy her shit, and they're going to get all stoked. Like, and it's all because it's just a cool lifestyle. And, and again, because we're in different roles, right? We have dependents, we have responsibilities, we have other things. I'm not saying she does it, but we're in a different state.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think it's almost envious.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But not regretful. Like, I mean, I've made my path and I love the path I'm on, but I do watch people like her and think, oh man, that is so cool.
It's amazing.
You're going to drive to California, park on a beach, and there's going to be people buying your shit. Come on.
Amy, I hope you do this. Otherwise,
oh man, Amy, you got no choice. We're coming for the ride.
We're coming for you.
Someone's got to change the tires. Someone's got to do what's the people be Amy.
Why are you referring to me? I'm not changing tires.
I'll drive. I'll cook. Yeah, we can cook. We like cooking. You're changing tires, Amy. Forget that part. You're the mountaineer. You figure that part out. All the shit's gonna be hard work. That's yours. I'll cook. Phil can drive. I can drive. Phil can cook. Yeah, we're good for that. Yeah. We'll keep you entertained. You might want to get rid of us, but that's okay.
Anyway, I think that's what's been cool about the last sets of episodes.
I told you, I think it is. They're inspiring me to do. I look at things so much. I've noticed that it's so stupid. Again, I don't know how I say it like this, but I think I've grown so much just because of the podcast, and not because it's me and you. I just like talking to other people, and wow, that's a cool way to look at it.
Amazing, right? Like even,
seriously,
like, look, we're not guys that stand still, and we do a lot of stuff, but then you sit in a room, you sit in a virtual room with Jeff, and you think,
just for an hour,
like, am I just twiddling my thumbs? Like,
what am I doing, man?
Like, this guy's all over the place, right? Like,
right.
And then some of these guys, the dedication and the focus.
Yeah, it's just cool.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's just cool. Like, it really is. Good on him.
Anyway, that's all I got.
That's all I got too.
It's nice to actually, with all the guests that we've had, it's still nice to just talk to you.
Yeah, once in a while, I do like talking to you. I mean, we talk too much already during the day, but we never get to talk about.
I feel like we're joined at the hip, actually.
Yeah, it's always too much business. Like, this is more fun.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us on this episode, Mark.
Yes.
Sterling.
Hopefully Mr. Sterling enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, we hope so.
Because we do most things for him. So really, what's the point of this, right?
All right.
Anyway, we shall talk at you. I'll probably talk at you after this podcast.
Yeah.
I think we got some work stuff to do today. So
okay, hold on.
Anyway, my friend.
All right.
Sign her off.
That's it. Okay.